like I said, the work we were doing in grad school tended to be a little more conceptual, or that seemed to be my expectation anyway. And so it was nice to just be working with materials, and then just sort of one led to another, and they became more complex and more detailed and bigger and more interesting locations to work with. And I guess 20 years later, I'm I still have many more in me, I think. Well, I use a variety of fabrics depending on where they're going. If they're indoors, I prefer to use something as light as possible because I like the way the air moves through them and the way they respond to the movement of air. And I like things that are nice and papery too, like crispy and crinkly, as opposed to like really cloth-like nylon. I prefer something like Tyvek, which is a synthetic paper, or nylon spinnaker, which they use in sail making. Which is very crinkly and paper-like, and to me it just looks even more surprisingly like flesh when it's full of air and it's moving, and with age the way they wrinkle and take on a sort of a patina. They become more flesh-like in a really weird way, even though it's a very high-tech clinical kind of fabric. This is a model of a cloud piece that I'm planning to make, and I'm building it up in plaster, and it's going to be as puffy and as cloud-like as I can make it, and then I'll add more rings to it and it'll become much taller. So when I have the form finished in plaster, then I can start making the pattern pieces onto that form, and I fit them onto the form, and then when the pattern is fitted to my satisfaction, then I can draw it out at this size, and then I can blow it up. And I do that sometimes just manually by like gridding, and I go from like a 1-inch grid to 5, 10-inch or whatever, so I can go any size I want. And so I grid it up that way, or I can take it to like a photocopying place if it's not such a huge piece, and have it blown up that way electronically. And then it's ready to start rolling fabric out, and I roll out fabric and lay the pattern on that like you would making a shirt or a dress or something. And I have all the darts and the points where pieces should meet up. I mean, as long as the pieces all fit together, then it's going to look exactly like the model. But I like there to be variation, and so I think that's one thing that makes my work different from commercial inflatables, is that the hand is more visible in them, that the lines aren't so precise. They're much more detailed too, so there's a lot more pieces. And if I go crooked on a seam, then that might just add some character. So I decide when I'm sewing if that's going to be acceptable, or if I need to re-sew that crooked bit. And then there's some refining often at the end when I look at it and realize that some pieces didn't work quite right. Then if they have a bump or something that they shouldn't have, then I can smooth them out later.